Hello and welcome to Moneylife. This is Sucheta Dalal. This week we talk about the National Stock Exchange. On Monday, which is just 2 days ago, the Securities Appellate Tribunal caused quite a buzz when it allowed the National Stock Exchange to release 6,085 crore of revenue which it had earned over the last 4 years from its algo trading and co-location services. Now, what was this revenue? It was money that was part of a punishment by the Securities and Exchange Board of India, had to be kept in a separate escrow account for all these days after SEBI began to investigate and find some merit in what is called the algo scam. Now, those of you who have followed us would remember that the algo scam came to light thanks to an article that I published in Moneylife in 2015. This was in June. It was based on a letter from a whistleblower which described in detail how some large brokers in collusion with NSE staff used to manage to log into NSE's mainframe computers ahead of others, and this gave them a solid advantage that allowed them to make a lot of money. Now, I'm going to explain all of that later, but let's talk about this order itself. So for 4 years, this money was locked up. There have been multiple orders from SEBI about the algo scam. But this revenue was impounded, and because SEBI is continuing a slow and meandering investigation over the last 6 years, this money remained locked up with no decision one way or the other. It's another matter that all the actions that SEBI has tried to take have been challenged before the same SAT. So NSE so far hasn't really been punished at all, and as time goes by, everything is being slowly diluted. If you ask me, this order on Monday not only allows NSE to release this money, like I said, barring 420 crore which is going to be kept in interest-bearing securities, but it's an embarrassing indictment of the market regulator and the manner in which it conducts really slow, leisurely investigations, even on something as big as this. The National Stock Exchange is a near monopoly. It accounts for over 90% of trading. The market is in a terrific bull run. Trading volumes are huge, and this investigation just carries on and on and on. In between, there are multiple orders, including 1,000 crore penalty, inclusive of interest, some penalties on the former MD, former vice chairman, and a few people, multiple orders which are nothing more than a rap on the wrist, small amounts of a few lakhs, when the scam itself is a few thousand crore. It is really difficult to even begin to comprehend how and why this investigation is going on slowly. But over my 35 years in journalism, I can tell you that the minute things are slow and meandering, it is an opportunity to dilute charges, and eventually the punishment is completely pointless and meaningless, and it shows why it pays to get away with scams. In fact, the only challenge so far to this scam having been wound up long ago is probably the fact that a public interest litigation was filed in the Madras High Court and notices have been issued. There is another inquiry going on by the CBI. So SEBI continues to show that it's doing its job. Adjudication orders are there. There are new orders. I'm going to come to it later. I think some of you would have forgotten what is the Colo scam about. So let me explain what that means. I told you I got a whistleblower's letter. Now, what exactly is co-location? There is a huge difference between us retail investors who operate in the market and large investors who trade on the exchange. The large investors are on a different planet altogether. They get access to everything much ahead and pay for it. So they pay to hire huge servers which are kept within the NSE premises, because their entire operation is so large that these servers have to be located with minimal latency or loss of time before the orders hitting individual broker servers, and they are kept within the premises, which is called a co-location facility or even a colo farm. So each large broker who pays for this has a server over there. Now, these servers put out algorithm trades which are conducted at such high frequency and so fast that millions of dollars worth of shares are traded every millisecond and microsecond. Now, remember, 1 millisecond is 1,000th of a second, and 1 microsecond is 1 upon 1 lakh of a second, 100,000. This is the speed and size at which trades occur. Now, it was discovered when NSE used to have a tick by tick, which is 1 by 1 trading system in 2015. Any broker who logged in first to the NSE mainframe had an advantage throughout the trading session, which means that they got to match orders before anybody else. So there's a long queue. These elite traders within the Colo farm are competing with each other to get the fastest hit on the NSE stock prices as they are spewed out tick by tick. Those who log in ahead get access first and make significantly higher profits. And this is why some of them were smart enough to collude with NSE brokers. Now, after we wrote about this whistleblower's letter, the SEBI began a slow investigation. Initially, it did nothing. We got sued. That case was dismissed. Those of you who are interested, look at previous blogs on this. But SEBI then began to investigate. SEBI did a shoddy job, desktop investigation. It does not seem to have policing powers. SEBI's brilliant technical advisory committee did a great job, had multiple investigations which proved all the charges made by the whistleblowers. But converting that by interrogating people, pinning responsibility was not done by SEBI. So a series of weak orders followed. So the initial orders, like I said, have all been contested and they failed to pin individual responsibility or collusion on anybody. What is worse is later on, a whole-time member even did not seem to grasp the enormity of all these machinations to log in first. So the first few orders have completely diluted the scam and they pinned overall responsibility for not creating a fair system, and that has gone to court. And it is based on this that SEBI wanted 1,000 crore penalty and disgorgement and whatever, which is, like I said, challenged. Even the two individuals who had some action against them, the former vice chairman and the former managing director, Ravi Narayan and Chitra Ramakrishna, have also challenged it. We don't know when that will end. We also know that after SAT, they will probably go to the Supreme Court, which means that this algo scam investigation, like you've seen with the Reliance investigation, can go on for another 20 years. So NSE has smartly taken advantage of all the chaos and confusion and the pandemic that's going on and the lockdown, gone to SAT, got a quick order which said release that big chunk of 6,000 crore. Those who were present in court that day say that SEBI hardly even put up a fight. We don't know whether SEBI is all for it, but SEBI is silent as usual. We don't know whether it's going to challenge this order or just let NSE get away with it. Now, one would argue that you can't have an investigation for 6 years. But on the other hand, when you let them get away, it means that they go unpunished. And you may want to look at the various things that we have reported, which after every 6 years, it's possibly time to do a reminder. So let me take you through a few of these. In April 2019, SEBI issued its first set of weak orders and disgorgement. Like I said, about 1,000 crore, failed to quantify illegal gains by brokers, failed to fix individual responsibility for deliberate lapses, not putting in place SOPs, not ensuring a fair and equal system of access, which is why people were taking advantage. Nothing happened. All these orders were challenged. Since then, SEBI has issued further orders while also weakening the case. I've told you that as well. So it is whole-time member G. Mahalingam's order which gave a clean chit on this priority access issue, which is the core of what the whistleblower said. Why would you collude to get access? Because if you got access first, you remained ahead of the queue, you made more money. And this has been proved by every investigation. Didn't probably get into SEBI's head. While SEBI commissioned multiple investigations and audits, one of them continues to fly below the radar. This is Management Institute ISB Hyderabad, which was commissioned to quantify illegal gains. It has done nothing. 6 years, we don't know what happened to that report, but we know that these gains are not quantified. As someone very senior in the market points out, when all the data is available, details are available, why is it for 6 years it is not possible to precisely and explicitly quantify these gains. It is one of those mysteries of Indian market regulation. We don't know. And nobody is accountable because neither the Finance Ministry nor the Standing Committee of Parliament can be bothered about asking the regulator any questions. Meanwhile, SEBI is plodding along. So it continues to have adjudications and issue orders, little slaps on the wrist. I'm going to run you through a couple of them more. As recently as February 2021, SEBI ordered NSE. Tells NSE, investigate yourself. This is a pattern throughout the last 6 years. Investigate yourself. How good a job are you going to do? So there was a complaint of 2015 by Universal Stockbrokers of Delhi. So SEBI has asked NSE to investigate it. NSE has appointed a retired Chief Justice of the Kerala High Court, Mr. Arvind Sawant, to inquire into this matter. Again, even the fact that this inquiry is on is not known. I'm talking about it in the public domain for the first time. Well kept secret. Why should investigations be a secret? Search me. Even today, NSE has not punished any SEBI official. Now, this is the interesting part. There were investigations conducted by SEBI's Technical Advisory Committee, a team from Deloitte, a team from Ernst & Young. Every one of them has put in writing about how SEBI officials were rude, refused to share data, did not provide all email information, lied about email access. In fact, a senior officer who was indicted, Umesh Jain, has been able to prove that there was a database of all emails and he was able to access his own emails and prove that he had done his best, and that's why he was let off from the initial investigation while they had attempted to charge him. But none of this has been punished as yet. In fact, barring one case where an egregious appointment of one Mr. Anand Subramaniam had been made and he rose to group operating officer, except this, almost everybody has got away. And even in case of Anand Subramaniam, just show cause notice has been issued, when again my legal sources tell me that all kinds of strange personal emails as well as sharing of official data with an outsider has been found when they looked at emails exchange between him and a top SEBI official even before he joined it. Why is this taking so long? It's fairly open and shut. We don't know. Gets away because no one questions SEBI. In October 2020, SEBI issued, this is another interesting one, an adjudication order levying a penalty of 6 crore on NSE for investing in 6 companies: CAMS, NSE IT, NSDLE Governance Infrastructure, Market Simplified India and Receivables Exchange of India. These 6 companies, the investment happened without taking regulatory permission. There's a long history about that, but NSE got away for years together. CAMS investment was in 2013. SEBI begins to investigate in 2017. Action happens in 2020 October, just days before CAMS goes public. Now, Devashish Basu, who's our editor and publisher, has written in Business Standard that if you break up this 6 crores, it amounts to 1 crore for each offense, each of these investments. That means the punishment for CAMS would be 1 crore. Didn't take our permission, slap a penalty of 1 crore. Tiny amount when you consider the size of NSE and its profits and its trading turnover. Now here's the interesting thing. CAMS got listed exactly 5 days after SEBI's order. It's not that the shares have been sold. It's not. SEBI has just imposed a fine. NSE gets to keep the shares. NSE had invested in these shares in 2013 at 187.86. CAMS was listed at 1,230 after a successful IPO. The end of the same day, the shares went up to over 1,400 rupees. Now they quote about 2,000. How much has NSE made? 4,000 crore. What's the penalty for not taking permission? 1 crore. I'm not going to laugh. You decide whether it's a joke or not. On 10th February 2021, another order from SEBI levying a penalty of 1 crore on the exchange and 25 lakhs each on 2 former MDs, Ravi Narayan and Chitra Ramakrishna. 11th February, the day after, another order levying a penalty of 5 crores on OPG Securities and its 3 directors. These were the ones mentioned in the first whistleblower letter. So their penalty is 5 crores. And so it goes on and on through the pandemic. What is the conclusion? That slow and half-hearted investigations show that it benefits NSE. It pays to game the system. It pays to defy the regulator. It pays to use your power as a monopoly exchange to dictate and dominate the regulatory processes. Over time, everything will get pointless, whittle down, and become meaningless. Unfortunately, this is the wonderland of Indian regulatory systems. Thank you.